Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and yes, I have a sunburn. Sorry. Today's episode is Mickey, the Story of a Mouse. This is a documentary, of course, about Mickey Mouse, the mouse behind everything that why we even have Disney Plus. The reason why we go to a theme park in Anaheim and Florida, in Orlando, and Japan, and Shanghai, and Paris, and everywhere else. It's the reason why he's a character who is at one point determined to be one of the three most iconic things of the 20th century. It was him, Coca-Cola, and Hitler. So it's not exactly great company. But yeah, he's an icon. And if you really want to understand this, what Mickey Mouse is about, this is really good. It went some surprising directions. It's not just it doesn't feel like just a puff piece. Like, oh my gosh, how great is Mickey? How great is Walt? How great is everything because of Mickey? It does that, absolutely. It shines a light on his origins. It's a character created in the 1920s, the Roaring '20s, who then helped get people through the Depression soon after in the '30s, and then went to war in the '40s, and then helped sort of encourage the building of suburbia in the 50s, and just all this stuff. He's transformed over the years, and they talk about how he was created, why he was created, where and when he was created by Walt, and how he was animated and voiced, and of course anything when you talk about the creation of Mickey Mouse, you cannot do it without mentioning Ub Iwerks. It's sort of like if you talk about Marvel and the Fantastic Four and and the Avengers and everything else, you cannot say Stan Lee without Jack Kirby. It's kind of required. Or at least it should be. So, but this does mostly, beyond a number of mentions of Ub throughout this, the manic animator of so much. The man was a machine. It focuses on the spirits and the identity of Mickey as it flowed from Walt Disney. They're inseparable spiritually, if not physically, because Mickey sort of represented a number of the aspects of Walt into a world that wouldn't necessarily respond to a chain-smoking, mustachioed man who just showed up on their television. Although he did that every Sunday for a number of years. But not without Mickey. Without the idea of Mickey, you wouldn't have that. Even before television, with the wonderful world of Disney, Mickey owned the movie theaters. And there was other studios who were afraid to go to television because movies were, the thing, the place where everybody got their entertainment, and while Walt embraced both, there was a time that I didn't realize this. I don't know everything about the history of Walt and Disney and Mickey. I don't. That's why I watch these things, and it's great that I can learn something new. There was a point where if you did not include a Mickey Mouse short with certain films, there was like chanting in the streets, in a sense, where people are like, why did you even have us come to your movie if you weren't going to have a Mickey Mouse short in front of it? Like, why are we here? He was so pervasive. And by the way, I got to mention this. He's an international sensation, but regardless of what country you went to, the costumes and the masks that came out of it in those early years are utterly terrifying. They are just, oh man, just watch some of the footage that they show. Children wearing masks, adults wearing masks, just the people in costume in the early Disney parks, or just at special events, even the balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade, all of it. Just terrifying. Yeah, sure, it's a classic look. It's what it is, but man, it doesn't translate well into a normal human form. Yeah, Yeah, people aren't made of circles necessarily, depending on what shape you're in. But I guess no. But people aren't made of circles. Mickey is made of circles, as one of the artists points out. You get to see a number of people talk about Mickey and Walt and the history of everything from the perspective of animators, past and present. Again, this was made in 1922. Sorry, 1922. It was made in 2022, and it is an hour and 32 minutes long. It is well worth your time if you are a Disney fan. You get a lot of perspectives. And yeah, there's a lot of talk of the inspiration, and not just the intended inspiration of Mickey Mouse, but the counterculture that created a separate Mickey, whether it's in punk rock or through the yippies taking over Disneyland in 1970, or people just wearing Andy Warhol, just literally lifting the images and incorporating it into his art. It's the people who were speaking out against the mainstream would often co-opt the image of Mickey, who is the ultimate personification of the everyman in very much of a sense, since throughout the years. They talk about that. It's kind of astounding. And they do not gloss over his more dark history. And you know what I'm talking about. It's the shorts that will never make it to Disney Plus. If they do, I will be very surprised. If they do put them in, I imagine they might make a compilation of them with a number, with a disclaimer before every one that you have to read. Yeah, it's Mickey's in blackface in a number of them. Mickey's a little bit of a predator, grabbing at Minnie in a few of them. It's not a good look for America's every boy or every mouse. So you get to see the evolution of the mouse, where he becomes so homogenized and sort of flattened out and cleared of any reprehensible aspects to him, any kind of almost character in many ways, and that's why the necessary addition of Donald Duck and Goofy added. Donald could be the irritable, angry, roughhousing one. Goofy could be the absolutely silly, just weirdo. But Mickey became the straight man in all of this, and the three of them together sort of filled out the character that Mickey was in those early shorts, but now flattened out to be almost a corporate logo, or as Bart Simpson says in one of the clips, "Look, I'm the mascot of an evil corporation." It's an understanding that they talk about his evolution that goes all the way into the modern day, where or even 30, 40 years ago, where they were interviewing children like, "Hey, how old do you think Mickey is?" He was like in his 60s. Like, that's not relatable to children. Like, and little ones sure rush to him in the parks and give him big hugs, and there's so many wonderful shots of little kids just freaking out, just seeing Mickey Mouse in person. It's fantastic, and you get to see people talking about how he's given them inspiration and given them hope and joy in their lives as they're struggling, whether it's through cancer or through just life being who they are. And so it can get you a little misty-eyed at times, and maybe you have a story that reflects upon how Mickey or the whole Disney world has impacted you. If you're a Disney Plus subscriber and you watch all the Disney stuff and you love all the movies and the animation and the princesses and the live action and even all the stuff the corporation has acquired, from Marvel to Pixar to Star Wars, Lucasfilm, all those things, no matter what you think of the corporation, no matter what you think of various CEOs, despite all of that, Disney has an effect. Mickey has had an effect on millions of lives throughout the last nearly 100 years, when he was created in 1928. Oh dear. I mean, we just had the 100th anniversary of Disney itself, 1923 to 2023, that 100th anniversary. They just love making new merchandise at the parks that celebrate anniversaries. And of course, you understand that Mortimer Mouse, to become Mickey Mouse, thanks to Walt's wife, was created because Disney lost the ownership of, what can I say, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit to Universal after a little bit of a struggle. Yeah. So it's all of that is incorporated in this hour and a half. It's fun, it's sad, it's a little bit scary at times, in the sense that you're just like, they actually went there. This is not just a sweet little piece about how great Mickey is. They also talk about the evolution of his animation, and how sometimes because he was so almost just a corporate mascot, just a guy who greets you at the door at the theme park Walmart, and he just is a logo in many cases, where they made an attempt, and some people hate it, and I love it though. I absolutely love it. I know I might even get people hating me for loving it, but the later Paul Rudish did Mickey Mouse cartoons that I think they've finished that run on, but it made him funny again. It made him relevant. It made him fun for another generation, where kids sure might enjoy Steamboat Willie, or what's the building a barn, or the barnyard, all the old stuff. Some kids can probably get a kick out of it, but some of that's just okay. Building a building, that's one of them. Yeah, might just go, okay, thanks, Grandma, Grandpa. That was neat, I guess. Can I go watch Bluey now? So there's a Mickey for every generation, just like there's a Star Wars for every generation. By the way, this whole sunburn thing. Look at that. It's because I went outdoors for once for May the 4th and Free Comic Book Day, and just spend some time outside. And this is what I get for being outside. Anyway, that has nothing to do with this. So, I'm in pain. I just say, when it comes to, you'll see a lot of familiar faces. Yeah, Bob Iger shows up in this. And you get to see a lot of classic animators. You get to hear Maurice Sendak talk about Mickey Mouse. You get to hear Andy Warhol talk about Mickey Mouse. You get to hear some music from the Ramones. There's a lot of, or maybe not music. You won't hear music from the Ramones. You'll hear some punk music, but you'll see everybody from the Ramones to Joan Jett to just so many different rock bands over the years who wear Mickey Mouse, which to some people is just the most innocent symbol of humanity, I guess. I mean, honestly, there's some people who make the point that if the aliens came at the wrong time and dropped in the wrong place, they would think that maybe we all worshipped a mouse. But in the sense that he is everywhere, Mickey Mouse is everywhere. It's just strange that so many people in the counterculture have adopted Mickey Mouse as a means to say, yeah, he's ours too, but not in the same way as it would be for a child or a person with a mortgage and a house and 2.5 kids and a wife. There's a lot to be said. So you get to see Mickey over the last almost 100 years transform, as you see society transform, and how he reflects all those aspects. It's pretty fantastic. The best part of this is the fact that they didn't shy away from the more controversial aspects of Mickey over the years. The ones they didn't intend for, especially, and the ones they're fully responsible for, including Walt himself. It's not It's not out of like, oh well, Walt didn't know. No, he was part of that whole aspect when it came to blackface, and when it came to some of the more things that can't show up on Disney Plus. I'm happy to be wrong if they ever put them on, but you know that there's going to be context placed in the presentation of those shorts if they ever make it onto Disney Plus. You can probably find them maybe on YouTube somewhere, or a bootleg DVD you can find at a convention, maybe. Oh, they also, speaking of bootlegs, they do make a considerable point about copyright, about Disney corporations. Very brutal copyright policy. Yeah. How they just went after a daycare that had hand-painted, fan-drawn depictions of Mickey and his pals on the walls, and the little kids at the daycare are like, yeah, they're going to take Mickey away. It's like they're a little bloodthirsty at time, and they own up to it. They don't. I don't know if they necessarily say it's good or bad, but that protection of Mickey is very strong when it comes to the character, when it comes to that corporation. And it goes all the way back to Bart Simpson, who is now owned by Disney. So yeah, and I just realized also that early on, because of that whole wanting to strip Mickey away from having any kind of anger, he couldn't punch anybody, he couldn't do anything that was impure, in a sense, as the parents or anybody else. It was the same thing with Bart Simpson, and how everybody would, for a time back in the late 80s when he was first appearing, he was this symbol that parents would rail against, or religious groups would rail against, because he was... I can't remember the term, it's been so long, but he was, this rambunctious bad example. And it's kind of nice to know that for a time, Mickey was also seen as that almost 60, 70 years beforehand. So I highly recommend it if you get a chance to take some time. It's a good hour and a half. If you are a hardcore Disney fan and you have no illusions, yeah, it could have gone deeper, probably, but I think for flow, it's exactly what it needs to be, and there is no lack of love. It's not like an expose. There's no National Enquirer angle to this. It's real, and it's pretty fantastic. So check it out. Let's pick tomorrow's episode. 296. 296. We're really jumping up there. 296. Okay, we got a movie, and I don't know what this is. Do I? I don't know. We'll find out, because I'm just going to show it to you now, and you'll go, oh yeah, that movie. This is Third Man on the Mountain. I mean, I know Thor Ragnarok. I know the Young Black Stallion, but Third Man on the Mountain? It feels like something like a Disney film from the late 60s or something. I don't know. Anyway, that's what we're watching. Third Man on the Mountain is on the next Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.